Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Today, Bitcoin has hardly moved since yesterday's strong sell-off. So we are now going to take a look at the different scenarios again, just to bring you all up to speed in case you missed previous videos. Then we take a look at the preferred microstructure. Bigger picture, it is still technically possible that we have a 1-2-1-2-1-2 setup. That's basically the scenario we've been watching for the last few weeks and months. Actually, I think a couple of months we've been waiting for price to come deeper into support, and then in one night it broke through support, but actually technically hasn't invalidated that scenario. That's basically the white wave count here, the most bullish scenario. I expect it to break, but I will not take it off the chart because it has not been invalidated. It will be invalidated below 24,790. Yeah. Then we've got the yellow wave count, which is my preferred scenario. We also have the green one, which I'm not going to discuss in this video. I did that in the previous video. It would lead too far now, and it's also not so important in the short term. The yellow wave count is basically the new preference. Yeah. Due to the fact that we had quite a deep pullback here yesterday. It's basically the previous alternative that we discussed. Yeah, it's basically the previous alternative. And so far we have come down very deep in support. And actually in this wave count, we've touched the 50% retracement level. And because price has respected it, and because we already had a run into support before correctively. We rallied actually in an impulse, but I would have to interpret that then as a B wave. Yeah, we have seen that in the past that some of the B waves in crypto tend to be quite aggressive, so it's possible. That's why I always had it as an alternative, and we're now coming down, obviously, and because it gives us a bit of space, this is the new primary scenario that we're following just to understand where the relevant support levels are. In this scenario, we've got the next support at around 24K. And in this scenario, in which we're coming down in a C wave, so basically A wave, B wave, C wave, we would like one more low. Okay, but I'm watching for lows, as you know, in these regions. Still, though, primary expectation at the moment would be another low. We can dive deep into that in a minute. In this scenario, in which we are still in a wave 2 with a potential breakout in a third wave rally, support is $22,000. So below $22,000, we are not going to go with this scenario any longer. There will be one more bullish scenario left that I discussed in the previous video. Basically the green wave count. Check out the previous one. I discussed it quite extensively. So that means we are now in this C wave. Typically in the C wave, we'd be looking for 5 waves down as per traditional Elliott Wave method. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This third wave, let's just draw the Fibonacci extensions. This third wave basically has not quite reached the 1.618 extension. So what I would find quite likely is one more low to get that 1.618 extension at 24,750, then a fourth wave and a fifth wave. But it's not necessarily an absolute must, okay? Either way, if we go down once more in the third wave, then see the fourth and the fifth, or we see the fourth and the fifth straight away, it doesn't make a great difference. What we are watching for is a first impulse to the upside to indicate that a low is in. And in this video, we want to talk about at what point can we say that a low is in. So just what you need to understand is that I'm still primarily looking for one more low in the yellow wave count. At the moment, I'm going with the yellow wave count with support, next support at 24K and then 22K in this scenario. That would be sort of the worst case in this scenario. Anything below that would rather emphasize a more bearish scenario, which is always possible. But again, at the moment, I have no evidence for that. So we're just watching the relevant support levels to identify if we can see a reaction. Yeah. Previous video, I had a comment, someone who was surprised that I suddenly start to talk about a bearish scenario, which was basically it's too far out, so we're not there yet, right? And I explained in the previous video what we need to see to get a more bearish scenario on the chart. So that was all explained in the previous video. Check that out if you like to. I'll do that again and again, when it is appropriate. No need now. Did it earlier today. And the surprise was around, that a bearish possibility is there. Yeah, of course, a bearish possibility is there. Anything is possible. You know that. I do say that many times. Technically, anything is possible. Okay, anything is possible. So I'm always surprised that people are surprised that a bearish scenario is possible. Of course, it's possible, but I'm focusing on what's probable based on what I see right now. Okay, always. So we are looking for the most likely scenario in at any given time. And there's no point to focus on a bearish scenario when we are holding above massive support levels. So I hope that's clear. Yeah, that is a bit of a mindset shift required here, because I say that from the perspective of someone who assumes that anybody uses risk management. Yeah, very important. I myself, I'm structured for risk management, and I say that from the perspective of someone who's emphasizing risk management all the time. So that's why I track the relevant support levels. If they break, it's not a big deal because we manage risk, okay? And I'm always looking for the most probable scenario. And if we have impulses to the upside and corrective pullbacks, looking at a bearish scenario, what's the worth? What's the worth of looking at a bearish scenario right now? There's no point. What's the point? Someone can explain that to me. I would highly appreciate it, because what's the point? I don't get it. Looking at the bearish scenario right now, or even making it the primary scenario, doesn't make any sense, because what we're tracking are the relevant support levels. If they break, then we look at more bearish scenarios. That's why we've got these support levels on the chart, to understand when the trend is changing. Okay. It's of course hopefully common sense, and I sort of assume that everybody knows that anything can happen, of course, right? That's, I post that regularly on Twitter. Embrace the uncertainty. Trading is, as traders, investors, analysts, we're dealing with a completely uncertain market. There are no certainties. So I always assume people know that, because I post it all the time on Twitter. I try to educate a lot, okay? So as long as the trend is up, and as long as I see more evidence for a bullish scenario than a bearish one, I'm going to be focused on higher. But the advantage of this method is it tells us when probabilities start to shift. But at the moment, I just don't have enough evidence to focus on a bearish scenario. But of course, we could be more bearish, and therefore we follow the support levels. And if they break, which is just in the hands of the market, it's in the hands of the bulls and the bears, right? I'm not making the market. All I do as an analyst is to point out where do bullish support regions reside on the chart, and what is the risk to the downside. Okay, so that's, I always assume people know that because I talk about it regularly, but it's worth reminding people. So of course anything is possible, but there's no point focusing on a bearish scenario if we are sitting above huge support areas. All I can say to a bearish scenario is it's possible. Okay, that's the same like people who've been talking about bearish scenarios all the time as we were moving higher. Yeah, and they missed all that rally, and now they say, oh, we've been right. Okay, but that, I don't know. I posted that, I think, in the Telegram group like a month ago, that at some point people will say, oh, we've been right all the time, but they basically missed out on Bitcoin doubling. So all I can say to people, in crash profits as well, generally, right? People throwing around crazy numbers like, I don't know, XRP going to $100. All I can say, they are possibilities, but analysis is always based on evidence. So I'm always weighing the evidence of different scenarios and try to figure out the most reliable one and the most probable one at any given time. And we have the invalidation points on the chart very clearly. We've got the support regions when probabilities shift. So of course, when they break, that basically automatically means we are more bearish. Okay, you need to understand that nothing is guaranteed in these markets, and therefore I'm always a bit surprised and confused when people are surprised that sometimes support areas break. That's what they do all the time. That's why trend lines break as well, right? And that's what the market does. I mean, at some point, setups break. That's just welcome to the markets. It's not even only crypto. That's just financial markets. So Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you what will happen. I'm telling you what should happen, but should is not will. And yeah, there are no certainties. I hope that's clear. Okay. So yeah, so but primarily I'm still looking for another low. And now we want to understand what is the level that needs to be broken to the upside so that I assume a low is in. That is still the level which sits up here where the sell-off candle started. And this is $28,000. But there is also a level that we can use before, but 28K would be quite a reliable one in my opinion. Another one that we can use is the 50% retracement level that will warn us a little bit earlier. I'm actually going to put that onto the chart now as a retracement area against which we can focus on lower, because at the moment I still expect at least one more low. So this would be here the wave 4, and resistance sits between 26,390 and 27,720. So above 27,720, it already becomes a little bit more likely that a trend is already shifting to the upside. So as I explained earlier today, we don't necessarily need the wave 4 and the wave 5, but I'm looking for it at the moment. I expect it at the moment. We've seen many flushes in crypto before where corrections ended with such a rapid drop and then they just turned around. But at the moment, and I think it might happen over the weekend, we might see that wave 4 and then another drop, maybe towards the end of the week or at some point. Yeah, this is resistance. Highlighted the next resistance level. Next support I highlighted as well. I think we're now in the yellow scenario. If I have more evidence for that, I will take the white one completely off the chart. Again, it doesn't change a lot here. It's still a bullish scenario for now. And yeah, on the 30-minute chart, or even though I would need to go to 15 minutes, I think, I've seen a small, tiny potential 5-wave move to the upside. But honestly, that's not reliable. Been tracking that. Could also be that what we see here is a triangle that's developing, because a wave 4 can be a triangle. It's a bit too early to say that, right? But that is a possibility as well. And it might be that we're getting a wave 4 weekend again. So which means quite boring weekend. Okay, that's my update about Bitcoin. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.